I want to introduce you to Caiden. Caiden is a 12-year-old conservative who is doing his own blog talk radio show. And Caiden, I sort of like kids that sort of take it upon themselves to take upon the risk of being rejected. I like anyone that's that's a doer, because there's three kinds of people in this world. There's a few people that make things happen. And, those are the people that also take the risks of failure, right? They take the risk of rejection and ridicule because they tried something. Everybody loves to see failures. They hate to see successes sometimes because they know how hard it is for themselves to succeed, and oftentimes they don't even try. They become maybe the part of the second part of the third part, but then the second part of people is the people that watch the people that make things happen. And if you're lucky, you're at least part of the first or the second. Some of them are interchangeable. But unfortunately, there's too many of us like the third. They don't have a clue what's going on and encompass the overwhelming majority of people, which is the scary part, and it works into that 80-20 rule. And it's another way of explaining. It sort of coincides with the 80-20 rule here. But I got Caiden on the line right now, and I'm going to say to him right now, hey, Caiden, what's on your mind? And you asked me to interview you. What do you mean interview you? Why would I interview you? Don't you have a lot on your mind? Don't you have a lot on your mind?
Yeah, I do. I have been working on my radio program a lot.
Okay, but now your radio program is about you, right? It's about what you think about, right?
Well, it's about me, and it's about the stuff that is going on in America that's concerning my generation. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, tell me what if I asked you the top three things, general subjects, top three things, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, it would be conservative politics would be one. The next one would be how the government is taking over America. And how it's affecting and then how it's going to be later affecting my generation.
Wow, that's awesome. I got to give you at least an A- because we're gonna hang on for some A+, okay? I got to give you an A- on that one. Now let me ask you this, because I want to make sure you're just not using a simple answer. When you say conservatism, what do you believe it means?
Well, I believe conservatism means it means that, well, like our founding fathers, you want to stick to the Constitution.
Okay. So you believe I mean, you're quite right. Not all of us are philosophers and deep thinkers. All we know is that which was derived from and governed by natural law is in effect conservatism. And know and you trust that our founding fathers, who based our Constitution on the principles of natural law, you're willing to say, without thinking any deeper, Tony, how about this? I think conservatism is simply following the mandates and the principles laid down by our founding fathers of the Constitution. Is that what you're saying? That's excellent, man.
Exactly.
That's it, baby. Now see, now look at how I feel about you now. I feel so much better because you were Facebooking me and saying you want to interview me, and I'm saying to myself, what do you mean interview you? You gotta live a little, baby. Before you got something to add to the thing. What I want you to add is what's in your heart. What you haven't even taken out yet. I want you to dig into a hole and see what comes up and then give it some thought. And you've been thinking about this. I know how kids think. I was thinking when I was your age, too. So that's what I want to hear. Not so much me asking you a question, but sort of like we just talked about. Now, how do you think it's going to affect our generation, saying, do you understand what might happen in 5 years versus what might happen in 40 years? Do you understand that difference? That's 12 years old?
Yeah, it's just like, the healthcare bill. It's going to not only be affecting the present, it's going to be affecting the future, too, because we're going to be having to pay for the healthcare bill, where it's going to be affecting the way we are going to be treated when we get older. So, yeah.
Now, you sure you're just not repeating something you heard your mother say or your father say over and over again?
No way.
You're sure you're not just reading something right there? You're sounding a little bit too bright for my taking right here, there, kiddo.
Nah, I'm not even using a paper. I think my mom and dad's in the other room, maybe.
Okay, now let me ask you this: when you go to school, are you in a public school?
Yeah, I'm in a public school.
Okay. Do they teach history as a separate course?
Yeah, they teach social studies.
No. When
Yeah,
I was
not
a kid,
history.
they taught social studies, and then history was
No.
separate.
They
So
do not teach
gotcha.
that.
Do they teach math separately?
Now math they do teach separately.
Okay. How about reading and writing? Do they teach separately?
Yeah, they teach reading separately. They teach science separately. They teach English separately.
Okay. It sounds like you're lucky. What state are you in?
I'm in West Virginia.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Are they teaching you penmanship and how to write, or is it all about keyboarding?
Keyboarding's another is teach separately, and
how much do they teach writing? How is your writing favorable?
Yeah, my writing is favorable.
Do you know what your friend's writing's going to look like in 20 years?
No, it could improve.
So yours might. Many people aren't writing
Mine
anymore,
might, yeah.
don't you think?
That's
They're not even.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get a picture of how you view life now as a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Knowing how you perceive life is going to be down the road with your intuitiveness and your intellect. And I'm just trying to get a handle on the inside mind of a 12-year-old based upon what you've experienced thus far that I can only wonder about.
Yeah,
because I know how it was for me at 12 years old back 40 or 50 years ago, but I don't know how it is for you today.
Yeah. Now, the way with American history, though, they taught us that last year in social studies, but it was covered like they covered covered the Revolutionary War. But the thing is, sometimes when they do cover this stuff, the kids don't pay attention.
Yep.
They aren't interested.
They could care less if they're teaching the kids is the bottom line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now I had a teacher. My teacher last year, she was a very big conservative, and she did teach us about that stuff. She did teach us about that stuff. And none of the kids wanted to know. They didn't pay attention. Most of them were sleeping.
Yep. Now, let me tell you, does that disappoint you? Does that alarm you?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
How so?
Well, how it does is, these kids, like me, later on are going to be running this country. And
I'm laughing because I'm with you, baby. I'm enjoying this. Go ahead, kid.
Okay. The kids are going to be running this country someday.
Yeah.
Kids like me are going to be running this country someday. And they don't care about this stuff. And then if our next president later on does not know history, then that means that the past events, for instance, like the Great Depression, could happen all over again. Yep,
that which you don't learn for, you're doomed to repeat it. Some famous person quoted that. That which you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat. So, when people say to you, have you ever had people say to you, oh, that's a cliche, or have you ever heard people talk about a cliche like it means nothing?
Yeah, they said to me, Caiden, politics doesn't matter to anyone. It's not important. Just stop.
Now, here's how you see, I don't have a lot of patience with ignorance, okay? And you have to pick your battles, Caiden, as you grow older.
I know.
When you're in a discussion with somebody, remember something. Everybody's trying to sell the other person's point of view. You're trying to impress what you believe is to be true. Somebody else doesn't believe they're going to be true, and you're doing your best job at articulating it. And what I can say to you is that what you might want to do is this.